Hey everybody, this is Trish Kane, CEO and founder of Healerverse. Every Friday at 10:30, we do a round table where we feature one of our also infamous, because full of information and famous, Healerverse practitioners. Today we have one of our amazing practitioners named John, and I'm so excited to hear from him. You may remember him from a round table over a year ago, and he is back and better than ever. Come join us on 5dhealerverse.com. Check out our practitioners. We know all of them. They're all amazing. And stay tuned for what's coming soon. A lot of amazing things are coming at Healerverse. I wish I could tell you on camera. You're going to have to stay tuned. All right, let's hand it over to John. He's in the UK and we love him so much.
Thank you,
Hi.
thank you, Chris, for the introduction. Greatly appreciated for you having me on here again. So yeah, it's been a how can I say, a roller coaster over the last 3 months, I would say. So I started to come up with some issues with my tongue over like 3 months ago, and it was something that was kind of coming up for me, and it come up and it went away, went away. Ended up going to get looked at, and they've done some deeper digging around and some tests. Turns out that I had a 6.5 by 4 centimetre tumour at the back of my tongue, which is completely unrelated to the cancer that I was diagnosed with 9 years ago. So it's a secondary diagnosis that I was given at the end of January. At the end of January this year. So that being said, the tumour at the time when it was diagnosed, I should say, was 6.5 by 4 centimetre. Up until this point now, I've had no treatment, no conventional treatment whatsoever. Doing my own energy healing work, working very closely with my dear friend, Dr. Sim Till, who's been an amazing partner and friend and healer along the way that's helped me. The last scan I had, which was 3 weeks ago, showed that the tumour that was 6.5 by 4 had shrunk by 75%. So the 75% tumour shrinkage, the size of the tumour now is 3.1 by 2.9. And if you take that in the circumference of a mass, that's 75% reduction in that tumour. And that's been done with no conventional treatment whatsoever, just standard diet, implementing everything I've learned over the last 9 years, and also introducing the amazing work that Dr. Sim Till does as well. He's been an amazing asset to me, and I'm deeply grateful for the amazing love and support that this man's given me. Thank you, my friend. Excuse me for my speech. I know it's a bit slurred and it might be a little bit difficult for people to understand me, but I'm here and I'm still standing strong. So I hope everyone can understand me. But it's quite difficult for me to talk for a prolonged period of time. Dr. Till, if you would like to add anything to the audience, to help them understand what we've been doing in a little bit more in depth, that would be great.
Yeah, and honestly, thank you so much for being here, John. Like, especially like, for showing up today, even though it's hard for you like to speak, and we definitely can understand you, and we love you and we support you, and we're sending you love and healing. And this call can also be about everybody coming together and sending you all of our healing powers collaboratively to continue to help you to heal, because we love you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Lovely.
Can I kick in here real quick, Trish? So, John and I have known one another for a while, and I got this strange message. Actually, I had reached out to him because I saw him pull back from his work, in January, and I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And a couple of weeks later, I get this message, that says, "Can we talk?" It's like, "Yeah, sure. You want to talk now?" He says, "No, we can talk tomorrow." And then I get a message back. He says, "Actually, can we talk now?" No problem, man. And the guy that I was sitting there talking to sounded like he had like an orange stuck in the back of his throat. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? And he told me about the tumor that he had just been diagnosed with that day. 6.5 by 4.1 centimeter tumor at the back of your throat is like walking around with an apricot stuck in the back of your throat. And it sounded like it. And what I didn't tell John at the time was, I'm a retired ear, nose, and throat, head, and neck guy. And let me tell you, somebody who's walking around with a tumor like that is about 2 weeks away from losing their airway. And I didn't tell John at the time, but he said, "Hey, what can we do?" And I said, "We're going to pull every trick out of the book that I got, and plus everything that you've got, and we're gonna just go to work." Because the alternative was for them to take out his tongue, most of his throat, and including his larynx, which would have left him without the ability to speak or swallow for the remainder of his life. And that's tough. That's a tough call for somebody who's 44 years old. And given my training, about half of the people that we do that kind of surgery to wish they'd never done it, and the other half are kind of like, this stinks, but I can tolerate it. And John made a very, you could call it an insane decision to say, I'm not going to do that. I call it the most courageous thing I've ever seen in my life, and I call the guy Clink for good reason. I think he's got a set of steel gonads the size that Clink when he walks, man, because he said, "No, I'm not going to do that." But no, he made the decision and said, "Will you help?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." And so we went to work, and it was nothing shy of amazing to see this guy go to work. And 3 weeks later, 3 weeks to the day later, and long story short, I had asked him if anybody had actually stuck their finger down his throat, and he said no. And I said, I don't know how anybody's making surgical decisions without sticking their finger down there and touching this thing. And he went to go see another surgeon, and who actually did that very thing. And John, you could probably tell the story better than I did, but having been in those shoes, I can imagine the strange look the guy had on his face when he had this report that said he had a 6.5 centimeter tumor in the back of his throat, and he stuck his finger down there and said, "I think we better get another scan," because what he was feeling was not what was registered in that original scan. So when they came back 3 weeks later, he now has a tumor in his throat that's 3.1 by 2.9 centimeters. If you do the math on that,
Tim, look, that's how, just for you to understand, that's how big the original tumor was, and that's how big it is now, compared.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Is that clear for everyone to see? That's the size difference.
And we have the exciting part of this is now we have radiographic proof, guys. This isn't woo. The woo is now true. All right. The woo is true. The only thing that this guy, you guys want you want randomized controlled trials about whether the woo is true. This man has it. He's sitting on the radiographic proof that the human spirit and the emotion that animates that physical body is the operating system. And this guy has tapped into it and said, no, we're going to give it a different set of instructions. What is so fascinating about this entire experience with me and with John, because we both have learned an incredible amount of stuff in this exercise, is that there is an amazing amount of information that is stored within our DNA, within wherever our long-term memory is, whatever our emotional program is. It is stored within us, and we have access to it. And John even came up with something really interesting. And I'll let you tell the story, John, because it's your story. I don't want to steal your thunder, but tell them about the pages that you ripped out of your program.
Yeah. So after Tim introducing me to his work and us, working together diligently through his work, Tim then started to ask me questions, like saying to me, John, we need to get to the bottom of this resistance. There's some resistance there as to why this is not moving forward, or it's taking longer than it should. So then I then went into a deep meditation. I was actually in a bath. I was actually in a detoxification bath, doing an hour detox bath in meditation, clearing my whole system out. And I then tapped into my super consciousness. So I tapped into my super consciousness. I started asking it questions about where the resistance is coming from, how much of this resistance is there, and how can we remove this resistance to speed the process up. And then what presented to me was this book just come out of nowhere in my figment of imagination, and I opened this book up, which was a book of an emotional diary. So in that emotional diary, I then began to tear the pages out of the emotional diary. I think it was something like 20-30 pages I tore out of the book. Asked if there was any more resistance to what we'd worked on, and it said no resistance. The following day, me and Tim went back and done our work again, and he confirmed what I'd just done worked. Because the resistance that he was picking up the following day has now disappeared. So we then done it again. There was another form of resistance there. I went away, done my work, worked with super consciousness, tore the pages out of the book, went back to work with him the next day. Again, the resistance had gone. So I kind of stumbled across something there that's really, really powerful, a really powerful way at removing the emotional charge from a past experience that we may still be holding in our internal system, in our internal operating system. Which
John, tell them what you did with the pages.
Once I tore the pages out of the book, I then burnt them in a violet flame. Burnt the pages in a violet flame to burn away the charge that connected to them pages. And then integrate the negative emotional charge which has been dissipated now into healing our resistance. So yeah, it's a bit difficult to explain, but I hope that makes sense. Well, Tim, if you want to enlighten any more.
Here's John is fantastic at tapping into some of this stuff, and what my job is to do is to try and explain it in terms that other people can understand. And what I believe is happening here I have for a long time felt like our long-term memory, our emotional program, all the rest of that stuff is written in DNA. It makes perfect good sense to do it, but it's not just information. There's two things that are happening. Number one, there's information stored there, but number two, there has to be an epigenetic charge on that information. And and I believe what's happening is that we've got the information in there, but it either has to be methylated or acetylated. And if it's methylated, it's active. If it's acetylated, it's inactive. And that methylated or acetylated charge, I believe, is the emotion that we are attaching to it. And if John is seeing, if he's seeing metaphysically what's going on in real terms, what I believe is happening here is that the information that was written in his emotional program, in his DNA, what he was doing was actually ripping the emotional charge off and then burning it. What's burning? Burning is oxidation. We release energy when we burn things. So metaphorically, what he was doing was finding that information and releasing the emotional charge off of it, and then releasing it into the atmosphere and taking the charge off of it. That's the best explanation any of us have. But the hard, cold truth of the matter is, this man is demonstrating in a randomized, controlled way. There's only one intervention that has been happening here, and all of the doctors that are seeing him are scratching their heads, going, "What the hell is going on here?" Okay, because it doesn't fit their paradigm. And John gave him the radiographic proof. In fact, he's going to go back and get another scan. What, this week, next week, something like that, John? Unmute yourself, bud. Oh, you just muted yourself again.
Don't know why I was doing that. Sorry. So yeah, I'm due to have another, the third scan at some point next week. It isn't actually booked in yet. So at some point next week, I'll be having a third scan, which will then be it'll be 3 weeks since my last one. So it'll be interesting to see how it's moved along again.
Beyond interesting. Well, beyond interesting. No, this is the hard evidence of miracles happening. And I would tell you, and John will tell you, this is not a miracle. This is physics and language, and the current paradigm that we've all been operating off of, or that Rockefeller medicine or Western medicine has been operating from for a very long time, is flawed, because we have seen this sort of thing. What John's story is one of thousands of other people's stories that we have seen for decades, in fact, for hundreds of years, that people who take a different emotional approach to their disease process, whether it's cancer or anything else, they have better outcomes. Every oncologist out there on the planet will tell you that they can tell in the first 10 minutes who's going to have a good outcome and who's not. Now, they can't predict who's going to have a complete and total remission, but they will tell you that unquestionably there is a pattern of behavior out here that that people who are optimistic, they are happy, that they believe that they can control the outcome of their disease. Those are the ones who consistently have better outcomes. Well, John is now proving that the steps that we have to go through in order to take control of that program, and it's nothing more than a program. It's programmed language that's being reflected in our bodies, and we've all got a program, okay? And it's not until we have this existential crisis that that we're willing to tap into it and try and rewrite the program. But John just did it. He's the living freaking proof, guys. Right there. There sits a miracle right in front of you. But it's not a miracle. Okay, it's physics and language. Unbelievable.
And also, do you mind if I chime in for 1 second, and whoever wants to answer this, but this isn't the first time that John is healing himself, right? And John, do you want to tell us a little bit? Maybe Tim can also help you to tell your story just at your comfort level. And I'm again so grateful that you're here today. And
yeah, I mean, in 2017, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 anaplastic large T-cell lymphoma, which I actually had 7 tumours. One here in my neck, which is the main one on the top of the lip, 2 on the side there, 2 there, and 1 in my chest. and that was in 2017. I did have some conventional treatment with that episode, but yeah, that was in 2017. So this isn't my first rodeo when it comes to dealing with cancer. So I'm a bit of a seasoned pro.
You're trying to set records now, though. I mean, sorry, 3 weeks, 75%, and we want to see what's going on here in another week or so. Yeah. But I will if it's okay with you, John.
Tim, yeah, please do.
He still has some residual injury from that last episode, I'm just going to lay you bare here, buddy. John tried to bail out on this deal, Trish. And I wouldn't let him. I'm like, dude, being authentic is so much more powerful than being perfect. I mean, if you showed up here today, John, and you were totally perfect, nobody believe you. They'd think we were all FOS, but you're not. Okay. And that authenticity, showing up hurt, playing hurt, is the evidence. It is a scar that we carry, that demonstrates the true warrior that we really are. Mm-hmm. And I am so proud of you for the work that you've done and for showing up here today, as truly a genuine human being. And it's that genuineness, sir. It is that genuineness that is the true superpower that you own. And I am so proud of you and so proud of your work and so proud to see you today.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Tim.
And ditto to that. And also, John's been very humble, but he's helped hundreds, if not thousands of people with his first healing journey and story. He's one of the Healerverse practitioners. He does groups every single week for however long that he's helped so many people. And literally, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that show up for him, that show up to be healed by him, and the amount of people that he's given back when he's healed. And I am so humbly grateful that you're here right now sharing this story with us. And also, like, the power of all of us coming together and holding the intention for you to heal right now is so important, because we all love you and it means so much for you to be here.
Thank you, Trish. I appreciate Tim kicking me up the arse and telling me to get my ass to this talk today. It's lovely to be here speaking with you all. It actually is making me feel better. Not that I feel bad anyway, but it actually is lifting my spirits anyway to be here and talking with you all, talking about it, and sharing the experience. Sharing the experience, to maybe if it helps someone in some sort of way. That's really, I suppose that's really what I'm here for, is just to share my experience, sharing my first experience, sharing the second experience, to be of service to humanity in some sort of way, to raising the vibration, raising the frequency of Mother Earth, and raising the frequency and vibration of consciousness, helping as many people, shine a light for as many people that are walking around in the dark. And if that just means I'm helping one person, 1,000 people, 1 million people, 1 billion people, I'll continue to show up. And I appreciate you, Tim, for helping me show up today. And I will continue to be more authentic and do what I can.
And do you want to tell us a little bit, so I know John personally, but also, and John and Tim, they met through Healerverse, and I don't know if I put you two together or what happened, but I was like, you two, I think so. You two need to meet. And this is like the Healerverse cancer team right here, 100%. But, one of the things I learned from John too is that he was a totally different person before this. You know, if you know culturally what it's like in the UK and also in a lot of the US, especially in the urban neighborhoods, it's very like, you know, almost UK influenced. And the culture is very different. And he's transitioned entirely into a different person. Like, if you met him when he was 20, he wouldn't have told you he was going to become a healer or like be helping people to heal,
Nonsense.
you know?
No way, Chris. I wouldn't believe it. No way.
Sometimes
No.
God gives, or whatever you want to call it, hard battles to really strong soldiers that can pass forward a message and help others to heal, just like you shared before. Like, you're like not feeling well, and you're like, maybe I can help the masses and help to level up humanity and the planet. You know,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a bit of a bold ambition, but the thing that made me die was one of the ontologists that I spoke to said to me that my odds in 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 reducing that tumour in the back of my throat was over 1,000,000 to 1. And I said to him, I like them odds.
That's why we call him Clink.
I like them odds. I said, you can add a few more zeros to that if you want. I'm happy for you to add some more zeros to that if you want. But that was him saying that I had a 1,000,000 to 1 chance with treatment. I need to go and find that man in 3 weeks' time and show him the scan results.
Yeah, they're just going to shake their heads and walk
Yeah.
away, John. You know,
That's
it doesn't. Everything that we're doing here doesn't fit anybody's paradigm. Okay, it's people here on Healerverse, but the problem is we have hard data. Okay, that's a real freaking problem for the people who want to shut us down, to deny what's going on. But you are the walking, talking proof, and he didn't do it just once. Jesus Christ, this guy did it twice. He did it twice. And is he battered? Is he bruised? Yeah. And he's still standing here talking to you. And with radiographic proof, guys. This is amazing. This guy is he's amazing. But but he also had something to work with. You know, he's made amazing changes in his own life. He sees the world entirely differently. He understands now. He's the living, breathing example of we have a program that's being reflected in our bodies, and we can change the program if we choose to. But it's you have to speak the language of your body, the universe, everything else. This is not miraculous. This is the embodiment of what it is to embrace ourselves as spiritual, energetic, and emotional beings. And emotion is the language of that, and that language has rules, patterns, and characteristics. But it has taken us 200,000 years to figure this out. Okay, 200,000 years to remember. I'd see in the chat to remember that we are spiritual, energetic beings having a human experience. There's an operating system and a language that operates within that operating system. And now we're starting to master that language. It is that simple. Okay. It looked courageous. It looks miraculous. It is courageous to challenge the paradigm that we've all been trained, for the last 200,000 years, that the only thing that exists is what we can weigh and what we can measure. And to every one of those people, I would ask one question: how much space does a thought occupy? And how much does love weigh? All right. And if you can't answer those two questions, you better be paying attention to what John Dadgum Bygraves is doing, because he's demonstrating to you that thoughts are real, that emotions are powerful. In fact, emotions are beyond powerful. They are our superpower. And the very things that that we find to be the most frightening, the most daunting, the ugliest things on the planet, behind all of those things is the very superpower that you came here to express. And this man's doing it. Maybe we should follow his lead.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it, brother.
You both are so inspirational, really. Knowing both of your stories and all that you've accomplished and pushed through and succeeded at and broken paradigms, basically you guys healing is healing the lineage of the planet and humanity, right? Just wanted to make that statement right there. And honestly, I am super inspired by both of you. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for us? My gosh, I think if I were sitting out there, I'd have a million questions for John. He's sick and tired of me talking to him.
I'll never get sick and tired of your voice, Tim.
Somebody wrote in the chat that they really need to change their program. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what the Healerverse practitioners help you with. You can work with Dr. Tim one-on-one. When John feels better, you can work with him as well. And
listen, Trish, it's what everybody on Healerverse is doing. They're helping people to change their program using all of their unique gifts, talents, and tools. And I think that's ultimately the bottom line of what's happening on 5D Healerverse is that everybody's doing the same thing. They're just doing it in their own way, and they're doing it with their own recipe. They're doing it with their own tools. And you need to you just get on there and shop around a little bit and find somebody that that you click with, and just go with it for a while, and then find somebody else that you click with and go with that for a while. But we all have our own likes, our own dislikes. We all have our own way of doing things. The things that we do and don't want to do. The things that are comfortable. The things that are uncomfortable. And I will tell you, the first time that I saw John's face on 5D Healerverse and this nasty tumor sticking out of his neck, I'm like, I got to talk to that guy right now. I mean, there was something inside of me that just clicked, and I ran into him. I actually heard him for the first time on one of these roundtables. So thanks, Trish, for putting that together. It was really awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how we met as well, Tim, through this and through. I think it was Trish. I was speaking to Trish about maybe getting on some of these podcasts, and then you said, "Oh, Dr. Till's got a podcast."
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Tracy, I'm looking over in the comments at the things that you're saying. Why don't you flip your camera on and just talk to us for a second? Because I know you've got a million questions, so flip your camera on and let's just chat. And yes, it is 11:11 on the East Coast.
Right?
Yeah, right on.
I'm just going to Healerverse because that's what Trisha told me to do. That was one of my questions.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm curious how to learn more about this emotional release technique, and I don't know if you're doing work, John, but hopefully I can find you on Healerverse. I don't know your last name, but yeah.
Well, you got a second?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'll show you what we do with John every day. So one of the tools that we use is called emotional freedom technique tapping. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I've been doing it daily.
Good. Excellent. What are you working on? Are you making any progress?
Not really. I mean, yes and no. I worked with Sonia Sophia for two sessions, but then it like radically changed my relationship with my partner, and so I'm like dealing with that now. And there's this I don't know. I try to do it on my own, but I don't know if I'm doing it all the way, and it's just I would have to be doing it for like days in order to get through some of this stuff. But I have a job and I'm, living life. So
let me tell you the most common mistake that everybody makes with EFT, and it is not being specific enough. You know, I used to use EFT in my medicine practice, and I would teach it to people, and then the first thing that they would do is go out and start tapping on, my life sucks, and I don't like the way it is, and I'm okay, and no, that's not the way it is. It's not a shotgun approach. It's a bullet. It's a spear. You have to you have to nail down the precise emotional experience that you're experiencing, and tap down on that, and that's probably the number one thing that people screw up. Okay, are you familiar with superconscious reprogramming? Have you heard of
No.
this? So so that's a process whereby we talk to the higher part of you that that is connected to all of the universe, and say, listen, what is it that is in the way of creating what it is that I want to create? So one of the problems that people have in their lives is they're experiencing things that they don't want to experience, and they focus on, I just want to get rid of this. Well, where are we supposed to go? That's like getting in your car and saying, I want to go anywhere but here. Well, where's anywhere but here in the GPS? So we have to put a place to go to, and that's what we do with John. The place that we want to go to is a perfectly healthy and happy a tongue base and tonsils and all the rest of that stuff. Not make the cancer go away. That's the wrong focus. And when we focus on the problem, we get more of the problem because we're putting energy into the problem. And when you put your life energy into the things that you want to create, and then go back and reduce the resistance to those things, which is exactly what John has been doing, then we make progress. And so it can take as little time as you want or as much time as you want. And that's entirely up to you. It's your life. You get to experience it exactly as you want to, but you're experiencing according to the program that you inherited from your folks and that you wrote before the age of 7 years old. It's a survival-based program.
Yeah, totally.
Where do you live, Tracy?
I'm looking for Tim on Discover Practitioners, but I'm not having success. I live in Ojai, California. It's a really amazing healing place.
Amazing. I'm so happy you found us.
I'm so happy I'm here.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
like, I'm so
Me
happy you're here. And we're preparing too, because I just signed a deal that's going to bring a minimum 1 million people into the Healerverse ecosystem in a few months' time. And there's going to be, that's the minimum, up to like 25 million people. And there's a lot of people like you, and we've all been in your shoes. And I think too, like, we're proof here that it happens to healers and practitioners too, and we all need each other. And we're here for you. And we love you literally so much. And thank you for your vulnerability today. We do this every Friday at 10:30, and you're welcome here every week. And I put in the chat too, Tim Teal and John Bygraves. They're both on the practitioners page. When you log in, you can DM them. You could send them a private message, or they could maybe private message you on here and send you their direct contact information also. Either one. And then anytime somebody sends a private message on the Healerverse platform, a notification goes to their email as well. Just so you know.
Thank you. I just found Tim finally, and
yay!
I'm gonna look up John.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'm so excited and happy to be here. Thank you.
Me too. I'm so happy you're here. Like, that's one of the things, like, people shouldn't have to be alone. And I'm really proud of John for showing up today. We wouldn't have wanted you not to come. We love you so much.
Thank
So
you,
much.
Tracy.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank
my
you.
heart. Literally.
It's been lovely to be here, and it's been lovely to speak with all of you. So, it's been great for me. I appreciate you all.
Yeah. John, come every Friday at 10:30.
I will when I can, Chris.
3:30. Okay, cool. Yeah. And how do you feel like, do you feel like it's shrunk since they measured last time? How do you feel?
Yeah, I do. I don't, like I say, it certainly doesn't feel like it's going the other way. So, yeah, it's definitely moving in that direction. As far as I'm concerned, it will only continue to move in that direction.
Yes.
I gotta say something about that too, because John's not giving himself enough credit here. When he was first diagnosed back in January, what was your weight, John?
My first my weight, Christ. Well, my weight would have been it was low. I think I dropped to about 9.5 stone.
Right. No. And so the number one determinant of where cancer patients are in their journey is whether their weight's going up or down. Okay. And when their weight is going down, it is not a good deal. Okay. John, what has happened to your weight in the last 3 weeks?
I put 11 pounds on.
11 pounds, guys. All right. It's not just radiographic evidence. The man's standing there on the scales, mashing the daylights out of it and getting heavier every day. His body is doing exactly what he's telling it to do in the language that it understands. Okay. No, this guy is making freaking history. Okay. And we're recording it. There's all kinds of people out there who have made massive amounts of history. This guy has got the freaking recording, which is really hilarious because what was it, a year or so ago, John? 2 years ago? He says out loud, wouldn't it be really awesome if we could get blood work that could demonstrate that what was going on was happening? Holy crap. He didn't realize that he was setting himself up for that very thing. And now we have it. We don't just have blood work. We have radiographic evidence and a scale that says, oh my God, this guy is changing history. Thanks. And simultaneously, one of my other students had the exact same thing happen. Literally from your lips to God's ears, we get lab evidence that that what we're doing is changing things. One of the other students that John and I both work with, was diagnosed with a stage 4C colon cancer. It was horrible, and they told her that regardless of anything that we do, you probably be dead in about 6 months or so. Well, that was 2.5 year and a half ago, going on 2 years. And the lady's still around. They can't find any dadgum cancer anywhere in her body. They've MRI'd her. They've CT scanned her. They've done high density ultrasounds. Can't find anything. And all of her doctors are scratching their heads, going, "What in the world is going on here?" And again, we have the radiographic proof and the blood work to demonstrate that we're doing what nobody else can understand out there from their current paradigm. The paradigm needs to update, and that's what John is demonstrating. That's what all of our students are demonstrating: is the paradigm's out of date. Okay, it's time to evolve. You're muted, Trish.
How did you know I was speaking? Just for clarification, so everybody knows. So 9.5 stone is 133 pounds, and John said that he gained 11 pounds. That's amazing. Yeah. And how tall is John? John's not short. He's not short. That's for
10 feet tall and bulletproof in my world.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I love that. Like up against the cancer. Heck yeah.
It was I mean, my height, I'm only 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". So it's a lot of weight to put on in that short space of time. So I'm very pleased with the progress that my body's making. And yeah, there's a lot of fish pie being here at the moment.
Tracy,
It's a running joke between me and Tim. It's a running joke between me and Tim.
Tracy wrote in the chat, she wrote, John, you are my hero.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Tracy. That's lovely. Thank you, guys.
We love you.
All right, Trish, John, I got to run. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
for sticking around. Thank you.
I have as well, Tim. So I was around pick my boy up from school.
Amazing. Thank you, everybody, for being here on another week of Healerverse Roundtable. We'll see you next week at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3:30 UK. Because we already had daylight savings. That might have, aha. Thank you, guys, and goodbye.